Hello, guys. I thought I'd talk about today about magic, magic in the 21st century and in modern times, and what impact it has these days on the way we think, um, and how we can use it in practical ways in our daily life. So I hope you guys doing well. And you're ready to get some input on magic in general, and how it's very real in the sense that we experience it every day, and we can use it every day to change our lives and the way we interact with the world and create our own reality. So let's go back, like way back, to the thing that got me started in thinking about these things. And this was a book by a scholar named Mouse, not the English Mouse, but the German spelling, so Maus. And he proposed a definition of magic, not theatrical magic, we'll come to that again in just a second, but of real magic. If you're a person who likes to write these things with CK to show that it's real magic in a spiritual sense, then we're talking about this kind of thing. So essentially what it is, he said magic is every act that is done in accordance to the will, which has an impact or influences human consciousness or the human psyche or the mind. And what I think is very interesting is how it broadens the way that we see magic, that we can think of magic. It really opens up the doors and the possibilities to see so many more things that we might think of before as real magic, as something we do that we want to do, that we want to control, to have control over, and that has an impact on how we think, how our psyche, how our consciousness is formed and changed by it. So when we look at the most basic thing, but also a very powerful application of magic that falls under this definition, would be words. So words, you see, it's like very ancient when we look at words and how they are used in magic, in ritualistic magic, in every use of the word, even not only in spiritual sense but also in theatrical magic. We always have the idea and the notion of the magician using spells or using certain words to do magic with. And I don't want to go too deep into the topic of spells and magical words. So just for an example, we have here abracadabra, which is with K, so German. And we see how the word builds. So from A to AB to ABR, and the word builds like in a pyramid, it grows, and just how the word grows, it is said to be like a metaphor, like a symbolism for certain other things growing. It comes from the Aramaic language, very ancient, and it means I create as I speak. So way back then, the notion of spells, which indirectly tell us that it's about words, spelling words, spell, a magic spell, that words have got power. They impact our world, they impact the way we think of things, they impact our reality of things. If way back then in the caves, when the caveman sat around the fire and suddenly someone picked up a certain object or a stone or something, and they started to label it as something, maybe even talk about it as sacred, that stone became sacred because it was the first time they named something. And that label, of course, influences the way that it's perceived. And there are many great people talking about these things. Just to give some credit, also to Jared Kopf, who's an amazing performer, but also a magical scholar, and talks about these things. We see that magic is really in our daily life, and what people sometimes fail to see, that although it's very basic, mundane things that we do are actually magical, because we do it as an act of will, and they impact how we actually view the world, because the world is created here in our minds, or wherever you think the mind is. For all of you who know about Rupert Sheldrake's thinking of that, whereas the consciousness, we don't really know. It's a dogma that we say our mind, our consciousness is inside our head, right? Would actually make much sense if we say that our consciousness can expand, or does expand, was extended, and not trapped inside of our head. And we create the world. The moment we talk about something, we create it. We use language to describe certain things, and therefore it changes the way we perceive them. And the moment you perceive something, or perception is actually the gate towards creating reality. If I perceive something as, like, very basically, if I perceive something as being unfair, right? If there's some situation I think, well, that's unfair, the moment I say that, the moment I think of it as that, even say it out loud, it makes it even more solid in my mind, because I said it, right? Other people might have heard it. I've committed to this in my mind. This is like just basic psychology here. This situation becomes unfair for me. I stated it, right? I've said it. The words left my mouth. They became reality. Also, not only the spoken word, but also writing. The moment it's there, it becomes a physical object. It becomes something we can touch and engage with and interact with. So using magic in real life is something that actually is very practical, because it opens up, from a philosophical standpoint, it opens up the possibility to see reality as something that we can change, something we can control, very Matrix-like. I think we can have control and power over the reality we perceive. And if we have certain issues or concepts, problems about the world, we can look into them from another standpoint and change them by thinking differently, and even really making this solid and solidified by speaking out loud, writing it down. A problem written down or spoken is a problem half, right? It's already not as strong, not as scary as it was before. It becomes something substantial, not just a thought that flows around in our mind. And language is also the way, a tool, very like one of the greatest tools humans have, actually, not only for communication but also for describing and therefore understanding the world, finding new perspectives, shifting our perspective, looking from different angles at certain things, which language does. I don't know if you have this experience, but if you write something, if you write like an essay, or you're in school, you have to write about something, the moment you write, things just come to your mind. You write, and there are suddenly, especially if you talk about like philosophical things come into your mind that weren't there before. That might be automatic writing, but also you get another way to look at certain things, and you change your perception of them, why you write them, why you describe them, which also goes in line with your with NLP, with neuro-linguistic programming. When you program reality using words, or influence people using words, and therefore change their reality. And I think studying magic these days, in the day and age of computers and of technology, most of the time we would be good if we look back at this old technology of magic, and use it to our advantage, to actually open up and find that we don't know everything, because we cannot know everything, because we do not know every person's perspective. There's also something, right? Perspective creates reality. Perception creates reality. The moment we do not know how someone thinks of something, because they didn't say it, because they didn't communicate it, that we do not understand them, right? It becomes very difficult. So if we strive to understand the world, if we strive to learn new things, magic is a very powerful tool to become aware of the fact that we do not know everything, that reality isn't objective. There might be an objective reality out there, but we will never be able to experience this. We are trapped in our head, although I said maybe our mind is not only in our head, but we're trapped in this body. This is the way we engage with the world. We only have our senses, right? We can see and hear and feel and taste and touch things, and this is how we interact with the world. So, but these impulses, the stimulus, comes into our mind again, which interprets these things and tries to make a guess at what it's really like out there. It's a very esoteric worldview that we see developing now these days more and more. Because back then we said we have an exoteric worldview, that we see this is the world and here's us observing the world and just seeing it as it is in an objective way, which is a model by Vera F. Birkenbiel, an amazing woman, God bless her. And it's very much no longer so, I think. We cannot objectively observe anything, even in science, right? Which goes again with the new developments in quantum physics, or the recent developments over the past, I think, like 10, 20 years, I think, that showed us that there is no objective reality. The moment you observe something, you engage with it, you actually have an influence on it, you impact this. I don't know, I'm not very deep into physics, but when you look at whether light is a wave or a particle, I don't know if you heard about this, but the moment you test and you do experiments on whether it's a wave or particle, depending on the test you make or you execute, proving or disproving one thing or the other, like wave or particle, what light is, you will get the result that you expect, that the test dictates. So there is no real objective reality to this. And there are similar things to many things, like situations in real life that are just different, So yeah, thank you very much. Allow magic to come into your life. Allow this shift in perspective. Open up your mind to the fact that life is not like it seems, right? There is no objective thing, which opens up so many possibilities to actually change it, to impact it, be the hero of your own story, to actually change something. Create the world that you'd like to live in. Create the reality you'd like to live in. Be open, explore new ideas, and it will be wonderful. The moment you perceive this world how you want to perceive it, it will become this world. As easy as that. It will be. Just like that. You create as you speak. Talk about the things that you love. Talk about the things that you like, just like I do here. I talk about these things and I love it, and this creates my reality. And I hope it creates new possibilities for you when you talk about the things that you love and like. And yeah, please feel free to comment below, to like, subscribe. I really would appreciate if you subscribe and engage with me in the comment section below. And if there's anything else you'd like to talk about, feel free to contact me, and I'll be more than happy to talk with you about these things. Also, if you'd like to have a reading with me, feel free to contact me, and we'll schedule something. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much for your time. Create, have magic in your life. Thank you.